alive! It's alive! It's alive!
I want to play a game.
Hello and welcome to the Sounds from the Grave podcast. My name is Yussef.
And my name is Vania.
Hey bro, you ain't nothing but a bitch.
So, hi guys, we are now back with another part of our Netflix series that we are covering, like a movie from Netflix that we recommend you watching. We're going to be kind of doing like a little review on it. Obviously not going into every detail of the movie, things that we do like, not like the favorite scenes, kills, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to be going through a lot because the movie that we're covering today is 13 Ghosts.
Yeah, I'm very excited to talk about this. I'm not embarrassed to say this. This is actually my first time watching 13 Ghosts. I hadn't seen it before. Everybody was like, "Why? What do you mean you haven't seen it? What do you mean you haven't seen it? You need to watch it." I'm like, "I'm sure I'll get to it." And now when we were, creating like the series for the podcast, I was like, it's on Netflix. This is the perfect opportunity for me to actually sit down and finally watch it.
Yeah.
And I was not disappointed. But we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah,
Because-
it's just a lot because
Yeah.
I've seen this movie like millions and millions of times and it never gets bored.
Which is going to be fun because
it's cheesy.
it's going to make it so much more fun for us because you've seen it a bunch of times. I've only seen it once. So like you have completely different thoughts than what I would have.
Yeah,
So I like that.
for sure.
Yeah. And obviously, as you guys are listening to this, you can realize that this episode dropped a little later than usual. Just like schedule-wise, we had some stuff that just didn't line up, so we just weren't able to record until now.
Yeah, it's crazy. Life's crazy.
Out of pure luck, I guess, we also have something interesting to discuss that just got dropped today.
Yeah.
Regarding a certain premiere Halloween event in a theme park.
Yeah, so we are going to be talking about, before we dive into 13 Ghosts, we are going to be talking a little bit on the speculation map that has dropped for Halloween Horror Nights 31. It is now that time of the year. Typically, they drop stuff like in January, but they dropped it a little bit later than usual, but that's fine. Because this is around the time that like Universal tends to do like their casting and all this other stuff are like internal auditions. Then in April they start doing actual auditions for Halloween Horror Nights. So they're going to be starting to drop more speculation maps. I feel like they're trying to keep this one on a hush hush since Halloween Horror Nights 30 was like really already kind of speculated and there wasn't a lot of changes, as we already know that it was delayed in 2020. Now going into 2021. And now we are going to be talking about, which is weird, it's not going to line up with the numbers, but now we're talking about HHN 31, which is going to happen in 2022. So, yeah, all the stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to talk about this, because this, when I saw the speculation map, there was some stuff in there that was pretty surprising. I wasn't expecting to see some of that stuff on there.
Yeah.
There's some that, like, when I thought about it, I was like, yeah, it makes sense to have this on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I hate the fact that we fucking had COVID because I hate that the numbers are messed up. My OCD is driving me up the wall because of that. I'm like, this year's supposed to be 32. Damn it! Why is it 31?
Yeah. But unfortunately, now we got to deal with this new weird OCD thing, and it was crazy thing is like. Now it's going to be even worse because if we ever get something like this again in the future, it's going to just keep counting up and it's just going to completely mess you up. I mean, we're not that far off because a certain park did open in 1971 and we're celebrating its 50th anniversary this year.
Yeah, well, they're still celebrating its 50th anniversary because they're doing it for like a year and a half or something like that.
Yeah, so it's still kind of up there. So I guess that's a new change that we're gonna have to deal with Halloween Horror Nights. But enough of going into that. So let's actually talk about the speculation map because we do also have a lot to cover for 13 Ghosts, and it's gonna be a long ass episode. So bear with us if you love Halloween Horror Nights and 13 Ghosts. Welcome.
Hi.
Time to geek out. Hi.
You've just crossed over into I don't know. I was gonna say the Twilight Zone, but that doesn't make
The
sense for
grave
this.
robbing zone.
The Grave Robbing Zone.
This is terrible.
Jesus. Alexa, play Grim Green Ghost.
I'm gonna go come out to socialize. Okay. Wrong park. Wrong podcast. Anyway, but let's talk about. I guess you want to go through obviously A through J.
Yeah.
Just as normal.
Yeah, we'll
like
we'll
a
just
normal.
we'll go back and forth. So I'll talk one, you'll talk the next one. Or introduce it, I guess. So the first one that we have on here right off the bat, I'm already like hooked on it. It's Universal Monsters: The Mummy versus the Wolfman.
Do they have a film of that? I mean,
I
that's
think
really bad of
there's
me
only,
to ask.
if I'm not
That's really bad
mistaken,
of me to ask.
I don't remember actually. I think the only one I remember is I think it's Frankenstein versus the Wolfman. But I don't remember there is a Mummy versus a Wolfman. But just like the concept, because they're such different characters with like such different backstories and environments and stuff. Like that's gonna be so interesting to see like a mix of those two characters. Of like the Egyptian mythological side of Imhotep and the like kind of conventional like Eastern European type horror of the Wolfman with the gypsies and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be really, really interesting if that is a real one. Like we've already seen that they can do a pretty good job with Universal Monsters. We had that with the Monsters Unleashed, I think it was 28 or 29. We saw that again with Bride of Frankenstein, which is a beautiful, amazing house. And if this is true one, I like this. Like this is a great way to keep the monsters going with like their own series.
Yeah, which is a little interesting because that's kind of I mean, again, this is speculation. This is not like actually official, but I feel like it's a really interesting concept because considering that they're from two different worlds, I feel like it's going to be a little bit, off. But at the same time, I feel like they can make it work. I mean, who knew that you could make a mad scientist out of the Bride of Frankenstein and she learned how to speak English? So, and it turned out like an amazing ass house. So, bring out brand new ideas, I guess.
But yeah, like I said, I'm very excited for that. I can definitely see that being a fun house. But yeah, I like it. Definitely a good idea.
Hold on. delete, by the way. I'm literally looking through the list. I'm not shitting you. I was like, I'm quiet because I'm trying to find if this is the actual movie. I'm like, Mummy versus Wolfman. Wolfman. Oh, I guess that was the popular tweet. Oh, that's cringy. Hold on. Who's stronger? Versus the Wolfman. Huh. I guess that doesn't exist. Yeah. No, they don't exist. The movie doesn't exist. Just wanted to confirm.
Okay.
I know that there's like the verses of the other monsters, but not of these two, the Mummy and the Wolfman. So I just think that was a really interesting mix. But anyway, yes. Anyway.
Continue.
I guess. Continue. Also delete. I don't want anybody thinking I'm an uncultured swine. And also delete that long pause. That I was like, yo, like I'm looking through information right now. I was looking through information. I'm like, oh, does that exist? Like, bad researchers. This is why I deal with procrastination in high school and college. Anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, just count yourself in if you want to. Just for me, for my editing sake.
3, 2, 1. So the next house that we are going to be talking about is going to be an original. It's called Seaside Village. I have no idea for this concept because I'm feeling like sailors, mermaids. That's all I can really think of. Kind of like it's kind of like the concept of Spawn. I think it was the Spawn house. So I feel like if it has to do anything with like well, obviously not sewage, but like seaweed and water and all this other stuff. What was that other house that was
The spawning
underwater?
and Depths of Fear.
No, the one that Depths of Fear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have something of that concept will
Okay.
probably pop up, and I think, but it's like a village, sailors, sirens. That's all I can really think of.
Yeah, I'm
But
thinking. I'm thinking something similar to that. Definitely, it's something even to do with like, not necessarily creatures of the sea, but like folk tales surrounding the sea.
Mhm.
And like like fishermen that have disappeared off this lake. Like they're saying it could be this monster or something like that.
Yeah,
And I'm also getting some like midnight mass.
Journey to Atlantis. Got it.
Or some like midnight mass vibes because that's kind of a fishing village as well.
Yeah.
So like that would be really interesting too. Something like that where it's like the small town that just gets rocked by some ridiculously disgusting monster or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Like very kind of like Cape Cod. Like that would be really cool.
It would be.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, it's since we don't have a lot of ideas. I mean, and we can only go by so much by the font and by the name that we can't really talk too much about the originals,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So,
But I like that we can kind of theorize what they could be. That's part of the fun for me.
yeah,
Just based on a name, like what do you think this name would be?
Font. Yeah. But our
All
next one.
Our next one is very, very cool. I'm excited for this as this comes in as an IP, but that would be Fear Street.
Yep. So
Fear
if
Street
you
would be
guys
fun.
remember, is that we did an episode on Fear Street.
On the first one, and then we gave up and didn't do the other two.
And then we gave up. We didn't even do the other two.
Whoops.
But I think we have to go back to that.
We do.
But it's the popular horror movie series that Netflix did, dropping every week, of Fear Street. If you guys haven't watched it, go watch it. It's actually really good. So I think it would be an interesting way to bring this IP, but unfortunately, something that we'll have to ruin for you guys right now for this first speculation map. Obviously, we still have a lot more speculation maps to go off of. Is Stranger Things 4 has not been confirmed. So the fact that they're completely skipping 4, especially that it's not in production. It is going to drop this year, but it is going to be coming in 2 really big parts. I feel like they're not going to have enough content to be able to fit both of those parts to be able to do it justice of part 1 and part 2. So I'm guessing this is why they're going the route of Fear Street.
Exactly, because it's proven to be a popular series because they did really well. They reviewed really well, and if they decide to do all 3 movies, that's 3 different environments. Like that's 3 variations on stuff that you could do. So that would definitely be a lot of interesting stuff there. Like I'm already imagining a scene that's a supermarket where you see the that one guy or the girl that got chopped with like the bread slicer or the ham slicer. Like I would love to not like something like that. That would be really cool.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I like it's Fear Street. I just need to rewatch it to refresh my memory, but it was just a lot of fun. So now we are gonna go to the famous video game series of The Last of Us. Of course, we had our fed up ways of the zombie life, as you guys already know, being Howling Horror Nights 31. This is where we kind of get off the high of the anniversary, and it feels kind of like we're going back to like the zombie vibes. But the fact that Universal hasn't fed into that into a long time, I feel like this is the only exception that they can also bring back zombie wise, and especially that Last of Us being a very popular video game series, and they haven't done a video game series in a long time. I feel like this could be a good opportunity to bring something that will bring in more younger audiences, especially with the horror genre of video games.
And not only that, too, outside of The Last of Us, it was a wildly popular game. It has some very tense moments, some very creepy, like scary stuff in there. So it definitely would lend itself to that. It reminds me, like, based on the environments of the game and everything like that, it does remind me of something like Seeds of Extinction, where, like, nature has kind of taken some stuff back. Another reason that this could be viable is the fact that they're making a TV series based on the game for HBO Max.
God damn it! I have to go.
And you know what I love? The fact, you know what I love? The protagonist is going to be played by Pedro Pascal, and I'm already sold on that.
Oh, nice.
It's Armando. It's Armando boy. He's going to also be our
just
Joel
mad
boy.
because I feel like I have to go back and play The Last of Us. And I quit playing the game because of the fucking clickers. Like, the fucking clickers were creeping me out. And I'm like trying to go as quietly as possible through this one fucking room. And I couldn't be more quiet enough or try to hit them quietly so they don't. All you hear, I was like, fuck!
Oh, yeah, it's like.
Yeah, I was like, no. I feel like I have to go so I don't miss out on a lot of the details because I didn't get very far because the clickers really creep me out. But I guess this is like my point where like I have
No,
to
and
go
then
back
believe
to my
me, that would
PS4
definitely
and do that.
translate really well into a Horror Nights house. Just the sounds of
Yeah.
clickers. Yeah, oh yeah. Not only that, like the look of them, like the makeup look and stuff.
Very creepy.
Because they're essentially humans, like mixed with like mushrooms or like fungus and stuff like that. Like it's really weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now my only point of contention on that is, and this is something that I've wanted for God knows how long, and you know this, I am still waiting on a fucking BioShock house. Like why? Especially 'cause they're making a new BioShock movie that got announced. They're making a new game, and I'm like, please, can I please just have a BioShock house? I want to live out my Art Deco underwater city fantasies.
Yussef is a BioShock whore, okay? Like,
I am a whore for BioShock. That is true. But yeah, outside of that though, I think Last of Us would definitely translate well into a house for Horror Nights. It's outside of the character study stuff in the game itself. The environments are really interesting. They're really varied. Now my issue with that is there's a lot of that game. There's a lot of outdoor locations.
Yeah.
So I'm curious as to how they're gonna try and
so
incorporate
did The
some of
Walking Dead though, and they
yeah. Well, I mean, like The Walking
well.
Dead, like was able to do like the woods and stuff like that. So but a lot of the stuff in Last of Us is very wide open spaces. Like I remember there's a scene in the game where you're in a zoo and it's like this wide open zoo with like animals so walking around and stuff.
Yeah.
So like stuff like that is gonna be really hard to translate over. But they can definitely bring in like the indoor environments that are like from the game. Like if they're gonna do the clickers, they gotta have like the subway station or like the train station because that will be really terrifying.
But now we're gonna go to the next one.
Yep.
Yussef, you want to introduce it?
Our next one. This was really interesting. I don't know how I feel about this, but that is the Curse of Pandora's Box.
So as you guys already know, this house was already done at Universal Orlando. No, you're not Universal Orlando. Universal Hollywood over in Cali. But they're planning on bringing that house over here.
They did it twice at Hollywood. Like that. That's how popular it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we haven't seen it. I don't think we have.
No. No, we have not. I'm interested because Pandora's Box immediately makes me think Greek mythology.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to see a Cyclops. I want to see some fucking Medusa. I want to see some Minotaurs. Like, give me that Greek shit, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, I just imagine like, some mythological, pretty but ugly shit. It's gonna be great. I like that concept. But it could be worse.
Exactly.
Especially since it was already twice already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not only that too. I mean, Hollywood's is sometimes it's a completely different type of event. So we might get something brand new in terms of storytelling, in terms of environments.
If you really think about it, though, like they also did get Bride of Frankenstein, but they got a completely different story. But it wasn't too far off from ours. Ours was just a continuation.
Mm-hmm.
Was a more elaborate continuation. Theirs, I would have liked to see theirs too, because like the Bride of Frankenstein, like she also like meets like the brides of everybody, and they all kind of help her fight the monsters, the Dracula's brides, like like the mummy woman and all that other stuff. Like, there's just a lot. Like, you just see her transition and all this other stuff. I mean, from what I've seen
Mm-hmm.
in videos. I haven't experienced the house. I just seen the video of the Hollywood version, and you see like the different female monsters also versus the Dracula's brides. So
Okay.
it wasn't too far off.
Yeah, like I think like the biggest difference that we're gonna have here, first of all, is gonna be the amount of space, because Hollywood usually tends to have shorter, smaller houses or mazes as they call them over there.
Yeah.
Now with Universal, you're liable to get yourself a soundstage, a lot more production value, a lot bigger budget for that kind of stuff. So like I'm saying, it could be a completely different experience at that point.
But from the looks of it, it's gonna be in between Pandora's box, where the tent for the one that's in between MIB and the stage,
Mm-hmm.
that's not a lot of space to work with.
Correct. That is correct. And I've heard that they're actually might not even use that as a space anymore. Like they're gonna knock it down.
Yeah, but
Because I was
where else would they
there.
put it?
Yeah, because
Other
I
than
was at the
like
park a
they,
couple weeks ago, and I happened to walk past Men in Black, and that thing is gone. There's like no structure there whatsoever.
you know
Like
what space we
not
need
even like the
back?
tent is there. It's just gone.
You know the space we need back? The
Mm.
one that's behind fucking Fast and Furious. That's the fucking space we need back.
First thing you need to do is knock out Fast and Furious. Just like take it out.
No, but when Beetlejuice Graveyard Review was there, like we
Mhm.
had like that space like felt never ending. It was such a huge space. Like for like use between the queues of like graveyard review and
Earthquake
whatchamacallit,
or
earthquake.
disaster.
Like that
Yeah.
was a huge ass space
Yeah.
versus the one that we have in between the stage and MIB.
hmm
So like it's just kind of like
Yeah, it is a
what's the
little
set?
strange. Yeah.
Yeah. So like why not use that
hmm
space?
Granted,
And
Fast and Furious takes up a huge amount of space. Like if you look at that building is huge. Like who knows how much space is that's taking.
like a ride that you can experience in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
You experience all these rides in one fucking ride. All the rides in one ride. I'm talking fucking Jaws. I'm talking fucking Kong. I'm talking fucking like Fast and Furious. I'm sorry saying fucking a lot. Bates Motel. You fucking name it. Like
mm-hmm.
everything is in that tour ride. If you go to Universal Hollywood's like park, it's small, but they are more concentrated on show value rather than rides. But that attraction takes up the most time. It is going to be 90 minutes or more, but it's worth it because you get like literally like 5 rides in one
Mm-hmm.
versus like everything else that you experience over here. That's going to take you 40 minutes to 60 minutes just for you to experience it for 10 minutes while this ride keeps you on that fucking tram for like 40 minutes.
That's true.
40 minutes. And that's because you go through each and everything. They show you the sets. They show you, things from Bates Motel. They show you Jaws. They show you everything. Same sets. Completely different experience. And I don't know why Universal Orlando, I know that they want to try and keep it for their locals, start keeping from the west side, from the east side. But at the same time, you just got to keep it exclusive to like the coast that you're catering to. And actually, I know that you promised the crowd like a different new ride each year to open, but I feel like you're just being lazy at that point. You know, like you're being lazy. Like just like in like Howling Hornets has something new to value every year. Try to do the same thing for your rides. You know, like especially with Epic Universe opening up. And now with the rumored Universal Monsters Land that they're doing an Epic Universe, like you're going to have a lot more space to work with. And plus, unfortunately, I love Kids Zone, but ever since you took Barney away from me, not going to lie, my childhood was destroyed. Destroy everything at that point. Just besides E.T.
Yeah,
That's because
I'm about to
Steven
say.
Spielberg said, no, don't touch E.T. Everything else around it, free game. Give me something new. Take away Fast and Furious. It's useless. Like,
It is not a big ticket attraction. Nobody likes that ride. Like, come on.
yeah. So
I will say I
there's
do like Kong better. Kong is at least more entertaining. It has a nicer queue. It has the giant animatronic.
my
Granted, it's still the
fiance
exact
is
same type of.
obsessed. And I'm like, why are you obsessed? like I don't understand. He's like, it's just like the queue and everything else. Like it's more immersive rather than Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious just feels like a lazy thing to cater to like the Latino like demographic.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, before y'all come at me, yo soy Latina, no empieza a joder conmigo. Pero it's the same thing, you know? Like you can't
Yeah.
tell me no Hispanics is no hype for that shit.
Oh yeah, like Fast and Furious,
Oh, yeah,
strangely, like
quiet,
does
right?
cater quite a bit to like the Latino audience.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, look at the music that they use. They use a lot of Don Omar. They use a lot of Bad Bunny and like that kind of stuff. They use stuff that like for the Hispanic community.
All right, we're getting sidetracked. Anyway, but Pandora's box, literally, like that space. No, use Fast and Furious. We don't want them.
Get it out.
Anyway, so the next one is speaking of Latino Pride. We're gonna be going and diving into. I think it's like the Mexican lore. Could be wrong.
I think so.
Mexican lore of El Chupacabra. Also, we also believe in that in Puerto Rico. Basically, it's like a creature, horrible creature that sucks on your blood, that kind of thing. Things that you tell little children to scare them away and to, like scare them from like staying up too late at night. That kind of thing is like a little animal that kind of sucks on your blood. It could be kind of scary looking. So that's an original that they wanted to do. So basically, how they have La Llorona, they emphasize on La Llorona quite a bit over there. So it's kind of like that same concept over here that they're trying to bring some kind of lore to Florida. So yeah.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool. I could see that. I'd like to see Universal's take on a monster like that. Because there's so many different interpretations and like looks that they've given it.
Yeah. But I think I think it could work. It would be really cool to actually see them cater to something like that. But all right, our next one is the underground creatures.
Yeah, which
that
is another original.
Another original. I don't know how to feel about it, but because I don't know what to think. I don't know what to
So
think
I'm
about
thinking,
it.
like kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, where we're literally dealing with creatures that live on the ground. So like worms and roaches and bugs.
I think of moles.
And like like giant moles. Like that shit would be
like
creepy.
like just like they be creepy, like they just
Ew.
mind you that moles are blind.
They are.
But they're very sensitive to like vibrations and sound. And they can be very scary looking if you but I mean, they're cute for the most part, first of all. I like love moles, but I'm like I feel bad when like my dog digs them up and I'm like, no, it is like, it's like there's because they're so cute, but like, if you imagine them, you make them all gory and stuff. But honestly though, guys, I really don't know what to think other than like very similar concept to like underground creatures, just like Yussef said. Roaches, rats. I love rats too. Rat Daddy Cole. Hi, how are you?
Yo.
Yeah. But either way.
The next one. Oh, the next one.
The thing is like we already got this house. Okay. But that isn't a remake.
This is what's different. So the next one we're gonna be talking about is the Evil Dead. Here's the thing. Back in 23, we got the Evil Dead remake. And then back in 27, we got Ash vs. Evil Dead. So we've never really gotten the original Evil Dead. Now, what's important is, this year, the original is celebrating its 40th anniversary. So that is like good reason for this to come out for Horror Nights.
Fair. That's very fair.
Like, I mean, you have all the fun characters, all the Deadites, the cabin, the what's it called? Like the shed. Not the movie The Shed, just the shed next to the cabin.
I was about to throw a fight.
I know you was. That's why I had to stop you. I had to shut that shit down fast. But yeah, I could definitely see that coming out to as a house, as an IP would be fun.
Well, another reason for me to drag my fiance because he likes the Evil Dead series. Anyway, yeah, I could see it. Like if we've never gotten the original, I didn't know that we didn't get the original. I feel like we
only times we've ever gotten it is just the remake and Ash vs Evil Dead.
Okay, well that's fair. Then if the original, then come at it, bro. I can see that happening.
Oh yeah. But what is our next one?
Our next one is, of course,
Halloween.
I don't know why y'all don't haven't caught on to this, but Halloween, because Halloween kills, Halloween ends, and then Halloween, the new one is coming out this year. I think this year, where it's supposed to end the Michael Myers series. And which we already know our precious serial killers would never fucking die. Let's be fucking real. But the fact that if that movie comes out, to have this all unravel, then it would be great.
Yeah.
To have all three movies, and because they did something similar. I forgot what movie it was. I know that they did it for Stranger Things for sure, though. When Stranger Things, the third season came out, they hopped on that so quick.
Yeah, because they just combined it with season 2 and 3.
That they only had 2 months to figure out everything for like the last season that they could throw in there, right? Especially the really big Demogorgon at the end where you're seeing them all. Like, holy shit! Like that took up the entire fucking stage at that point. It was ridiculous. But yeah, so the fact that they could do something like that for all three movies of Halloween, I could see that, especially since they've been doing Halloween for a really long time. Especially since we did get Halloween a couple of years ago, it's very possible that we are going to get the ones that we've been watching since the 2018 version, and have all three in one go.
Yeah, because we've already gotten Halloween 2, and Halloween 4, and I'm like, all right, that's enough Halloween. But if they bring it back, yeah, I can definitely see it being like a greatest hits version of like this last trilogy.
Yeah, from the looks of it, it would be in the tent where Beetlejuice was.
Okay. I could see it.
I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel about it because that's such a small soundstage. But it could work because I feel like with Trick or Treat, like, I feel like there was a lot of detail and they used a lot of space for that one sewage room that I feel like a lot of details would be missed if they were to try to cover all the three Halloween movies, or at least do one of the Halloween movies, Halloween Kills, and then later they would do Halloween Ends. But Halloween Ends, there's not a lot to cover because it's just a mob going after Michael Myers. It's very self-explanatory. If you haven't seen the movie, whoops, sorry, you should have watched it by now. But like, I feel like that's self-explanatory, but then the next one is like the little bow on everything. But just depends how much space they're willing to put in it,
Exactly.
That's for me. But behind me. And the last one is I can feel my face when I'm with you.
Ooh,
no,
I'm blinded by the lights.
No, I can't sleep until I hear your
That is right.
Right,
The Weeknd could be coming to Halloween Horror Nights.
Before y'all start coming at me, I can see this happening for various reasons. I know that most of you guys like had your phase of like Billie Eilish is not horror. We did have a horror side of Billie Eilish, but of course you guys already know that she kind of turned But by this I mean like she turns very soft, and she's very soft. Like she speaks her mind. She's more of a lighter feel, that kind of thing. And she's not that creepy Billie Eilish that we once were concentrating so much on, especially now that she's grown. She's of age, and now she's willing to show off everything that she has. But it's fine. We love women empowerment. But now, The Weeknd, he does have horror elements. If you guys have already seen, there is this really genius storyline that he's going with his character in his stories, that he's undergoing some plastic surgery, so he goes through some depressive shit with some drugs, obviously some heavy stuff, and he like there's just a lot of creepy I don't know, like monstrous, like
Beats
creepy
and
makeup
stuff.
that goes through. Like, yeah, it's a lot deeper than you guys actually think. Like, before you guys think of like sexual, like happy baby making music and some of the shit, but like he does have some really creepy imagery that I feel like could translate this very well, and I feel like it could bring a lot of that Gen Z and millennial like crowd that they're trying to bring in, the younger crowd, so they're not as scared to come to the park. I guess you could say, kind of like they were using Billie Eilish as a bait to bring them to the park.
Yeah. I don't really have much to say on this, just because I'll admit to this freely. I don't know that much about The Weeknd's like current music. Like, I haven't listened to his last 2 albums because I'm lazy.
Boy, let me fill you in. Hold up.
Oh jeez.
Nah, I'm about to destroy this guy's whole career. No, I'm kidding.
No, don't do that. Yeah, but based on like the little stuff that I've seen here and there, I can definitely see it coming out because of the horror elements there and the lyrical content sometimes.
Also, if you guys haven't been on Twitter, I screenshotted it in like before. If he ever thinks of deleting it, The Weeknd did respond to the speculation map.
Oh, that's great.
So that's could be a misleading sign, but it also could be a good sign that this could actually still be happening, especially since the imagery of Billie Eilish didn't actually happen. So this is kind of like a makeup for us to have something musical, since they already had Rob Zombie, they already had Alice Cooper in the past. So I guess they're trying to keep building
on
that portfolio, side, especially featuring all these different musicians for that kind of thing.
Yeah, but this is a really interesting spec map, not gonna lie. There's a lot of surprises on there.
Yeah, but it certainly won't be our last.
Oh no.
So this could very much change. I wish I kept count of how many times it changed. Last year it wasn't a lot, honestly. But there's some things that left, there's some things that stayed from the first spec map, but it's all for us to
just kind of get fed on and give us something,
Yeah, that took a lot longer than we thought, but yeah, that was the whole Halloween Horror Nights speculation map. Yay!
Woo-hoo! All right, now that we've talked about the spec map for Horror Nights, it's time to deep dive into the episode that we were gonna do, except until the spec map got released. But yeah, we're doing 13 Ghosts, so following our still relatively new format, we're gonna talk some stuff we liked, some stuff we don't like, favorite moments, favorite kills, favorite characters, all that fun stuff, as well as our little break in between to talk some Grave Robin facts.
Yeah, so this episode might be a little bit longer than expected, if you guys already know. Already know, plus the spec map, plus other things that we do have to talk about. Very briefly, I'm going to try and make it as brief as possible, but try to give you guys like the rundown of each and every ghost. That's a part of the thing.
Because Vanya's our resident 13 Ghost historian.
Yeah, that's because my dad injected that movie since I was like a child. So yeah.
Your dad literally gave you 13 Ghosts as heroin.
Yeah, he's like, here's the greatest horror movie that ever lived. And like,
he's like, here you go.
Yeah. I mean, I was originally exposed to Stay Alive as my first horror film, but of course, as more spooky movies have been coming out during that time, 13 Ghosts was definitely in that genre that my dad wanted to introduce me to. But so basically, the summary of 13 Ghosts is that they have a a person that is kind of like he works on like experiments, but also like this like a historian kind of thing. And then he gets really obsessed with this house, and then it's like he builds things, and then honestly, holy shit, did I just forget the majority of it? No, I'm kidding. But either way, they leave the heritage of like it was like the uncle, I think it was.
You were just bouncing around all over the place. You're cracking me up.
Yeah. Liquid death is a dangerous drug.
All right, quick breakdown. So it's this dude that is hunting ghosts with the help of Matthew Lillard, but then he dies, and after that, his nephew gets his uncle's house.
No, because he's the nephew, but the one who hunts ghosts and to like.
That's what I just said. So the nephew gets the house.
Yeah, you don't have to say guy. It's just the uncle, crazy uncle, Tío Loco. But yeah, but anyway, and then because their mom just died, she died in a fire. Sad. So now kids have no mom, like every Disney movie. I'm kidding. But after that, they're like, oh, we've been bouncing around houses. Now that this one's practically being given it to us for free, we're just gonna go follow this random guy into a house.
This random lawyer dude.
Yeah, and then the house kind of is magical and it shapeshifts, and obviously they just think it's fancy technology. But little do they know, it just has a little bit of magic. Yeah, it's just a lot of moving around spells. Witchy heebie-jeebies, and Matthew Lillard is basically the comedic relief that knows everything, and he's the psychic.
Yep. And I gotta say, I think this might be one of my favorite Matthew Lillard performances. Like after Scream, I think this might be my favorite.
Yeah.
Outside of Shaggy, because Shaggy.
Yeah. And by the way, this podcast is not sponsored by Liquid Death. I just discovered this 2 days ago, and now I'm addicted. That's why I was probably bouncing off the walls. I know this has no caffeine in it, but it tastes amazing. But now I'm practically wide awake. This could be caffeine. I wouldn't know.
I mean, considering what we're talking about, Liquid Death, if you guys want to sponsor us. Okay, never mind. Maybe they don't want to now.
But either way.
Anyway.
So I've seen this movie many, many times, but since you are our new fresh blood sacrifice,
that's
maybe
me.
the 13th ghost, please tell me what you liked about this movie.
I mean, I thought this movie was great. I like the story because it was really different. I like the design of the house. That was fun. The characters were really cool. The ghosts were really nice too. I only have like really 2 issues with it, and it had to do with like the editing, mostly the editing for it, really. But we'll get to that when we get to the stuff that we don't particularly like.
Yeah.
And I do want to mention too that I know a lot of people have been like saying, "Oh, 13 Ghosts needs to be a house at Horror Nights." Like, it's been a long time coming. And after finally seeing the movie, I'm like, I get it. I totally get why people are saying that. Like, I can see that as a house for Horror Nights. There's a lot to play around with in there.
Yeah. I just think, like, the fact that they did Cabin in the Woods first, I'm like, practically Cabin in the Woods is just a more on-crack version of 13 Ghosts, to be fair.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know how HHN did that first, but
Probably because they were capitalizing on a new release.
Yeah, but still.
Yeah.
But either way, I guess anything else? Fresh blood?
Fresh blood. Anything else? Fresh blood.
Fresh blood.
Fresh blood. But I mean, like outside of that though, in terms of, I mean, there's some cool kills. I want to talk about my favorite kill later when we get to those. Um, but yeah, in terms of stuff itself that I did like I said, the design of the house was really cool. I like how they set up rules too for the ghosts. Like it's very specific with like you can only see them if you're wearing these glasses, and like they can only go to these parts of the house because they're like you're protected by these spells that are written all over the glass walls and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I liked how they described everything and how they gave everything like a reason for the way it was.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and the characters were interesting. And there was at first I didn't really like the daughter character. I thought she was just kind of annoying because all she did was just smile and say, "This house is beautiful. This house is beautiful. Oh my God, look at this house." I'm like, okay, I get it. The house is beautiful. Good for you.
She likes the bougie life.
And then that kid is like, oh, I'm like, I wish I was like that cool as a kid, where he's just like talks about death all the time. And he's like obsessed with death. Like I wish I was that kid when I was growing up.
That's how you raise them up brave.
No, that kid was a little podcaster. Remember, he always had like a little like tape recorder with him.
Yeah.
He was a amateur podcaster, same as us.
Yeah. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Anyway, but
yeah, and the other comedic relief was funny too. The other was it like their sitter or like their housekeeper or whatever?
Yeah,
she was.
It felt very scary movie.
It did. Yeah, it did. There were certain moments that were like that.
So now that the newbie has spoken, I love a lot of the things about this movie. Basically, for me, my favorite is definitely the makeup that they do for the monsters. You definitely see some like really obviously great detail for what the time that it came out and for what it was. It's just something that you don't see a lot in like the film industry anymore. Like everything's practically almost digital with a little bit minimal to almost like very little detail makeup now. But the fact that there's costumes and makeup from head to toe for each and every one of those monsters is practically incredible. My favorite too has to be the princess and the jackal because they have gashes and blood and everything is very detailed from head to toe, especially with from the princess's like wet dress, like not wet dress, wet hair, and the fact that and the almost the Solera contact lenses. And of course, like I'm pretty sure if that was her entire body, I'm not sure if that was a bodysuit or her body, but her body was practically like it was like, it was very well structured for all the scars that she had and everything just held up pretty nicely.
I'm thinking it might have been a prosthetic, honestly.
Yeah.
Because it looked a little too.
Chesty part was a little
too structurally perfect.
Yeah,
it looked a little too good.
Yeah,
it's either that or like they did such a great job with the makeup that you think it's not real.
Yeah. And then with the jackal, there's like obviously the caged head and all that, and then it comes with the asylum jacket and all the gashes and the blood and all that stuff. So he's a pretty cool character as well. I do enjoy the cinematography. It did like deal with a lot of movements and a lot of dynamic shots. I kind of like the fact that some parts of this movie did feel almost like a recall to The Shining, especially when the kid is running around with the scooter and, he comes across things that he doesn't understand. Obviously hearing things and all that. And also, is this part where we do talk about our favorite scenes or not yet?
I think we should just talk like from the technical standpoint, like the stuff we liked.
Yeah. But, cinematography, storytelling, and especially the effects and whatnot. But of course, if you guys didn't know 13 Ghosts, this is actually not the original 13 Ghosts movie. There is an older version, especially the original version is on Shudder. But I actually honestly have not seen that one because I like the newer version, but I know that there are some things and differences between that one and this one. But I like that there's like a recall and almost like a better version of it. I'm just sad that it rated so low by Rotten Tomatoes, but it is what it is. It's
Yeah.
it's practically a cult classic.
And something important that we got to point out too when it comes to the makeup. The makeup effects on this were done by Greg Nicotero, who is, a fucking amazingly incredible and famous makeup artist. I mean, this guy he's done the new Creepshow series. He's done Walking Dead for pretty much since the beginning. I think he did a lot of stuff back in like the 90s too. Like almost like all the big like practical makeups he had some kind of involvement in. Like he's really talented. So if you're wondering like why it looks so good, and like there you go, that's why. Yeah, but and then in terms of like the stuff that I didn't like, what I mean by editing isn't exactly like it's edited weirdly or like out of place or like the scenes don't make sense or anything, because it does. It makes perfect sense. Everything tracks properly. Like you know what's going on, you know why it's happening, and all that stuff. The only thing I don't like is the way that they cut ghosts in. Like I'm like because I'm over here like you spent all this time and money to make these amazing, beautiful prosthetics and makeups, but then like they show them in all these quick cuts, and I just can't catch detail except for like one or two of them. Because every time they would cut to the ghost, they're like, here's a white flash, and now the ghost is over here. Here's a white flash, and now the ghost is over here. You're like, stop for a second. Let me look at you. So I can be like, damn, that makeup. And then go back to what you were doing.
Yeah.
Like, let me admire it. Like, the only character that I was, like, properly able to do that with, and it's because he had the most screen time without any of that type of editing, was the, is that the hammer? The one that, like, the guy that had, like, all the nails?
I think it's Hammerhead.
Hammerhead? I thought it was just the hammer.
The hammer. Yeah, the hammer. I call him Hammerhead. It doesn't make more sense.
And his design was really cool with like all these, like giant like nails and bolts like sticking out of his face and stuff. I was like, that looks cool. Like he looked like Pinhead on steroids. But yeah, like that was just my only issue, that it's just like, I've heard so many good things about like the makeup on the ghost and everything, and I'm like, I just wish I could see more of it.
Yeah. I totally get that, especially I do have to agree with you on the editing aspect. It's just it's quick cuts. I mean, I do enjoy some of the slower cuts that they did make on the other ghosts. For me in particular you did get to see the princess and the jackal a little bit longer. The torso didn't get so much screen time.
I mean, the Juggernaut got like what, like maybe 25 seconds total of screen time.
Yeah. And then there was the Juggernaut. Then the Great Child and the Dire Mother was kind of there. The Pilgrimess, the Torn Prince, Withered Lover, the Bound Woman, the Torso, and the Firstborn Son. So yeah, all the good stuff.
Oh yeah, and that's something I like too. I like how unique the ghosts themselves were. Like they each had like their own special design, but they still felt connected. Like, they were like the designs weren't so outlandish that they just felt like, here's a ghost.
Out of place.
Yeah, like out of place from each other. Because like they use similar color palettes, they use similar design styles. So I was like, okay, it looks consistent.
Mm-hmm. And the fact that there's 13 of them, it's amazing. Like, what? It's like an entire color palette we didn't even know. Anyway, but I don't know. It's kind of hard to point out what was wrong with it because I'm so biased towards this movie.
Well, even from like a technical standpoint, there really wasn't anything bad about it.
Mm-mm. No.
Like obviously, the writing is obviously a little goofy, but that's just like. I mean, if you look at the story, it's already kind of goofy.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's just, for me, I think it's more, I wish I knew a little bit more about why, they, like, the uncle did, like, so many things and why it was so important to him. I didn't feel like I got the entire concept other than,
If I'm not mistaken, the way they explain it is, like, whoever can open the portal just gains, like, infinite knowledge or something like that, or like infinite power.
Yeah,
and, like that's what he wanted. He was just power hungry.
That's kind of like the biggest supervillain.
Yeah,
from like a goofy cartoon movie. I was just like, But that's about it. That's the only thing I didn't enjoy about it. I did like the twist that there was in the story later on. Especially, I love the fact that the nephew's wife was definitely involved with the ghosts and all that.
Spoiler alert! If you haven't seen it, then yes, the wife, the our main character's wife.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, she dies in the beginning, and then you see her in the middle of the movie. It's not so much of a spoiler if you're already like halfway through the movie,
Yeah,
you know.
I know, but like for somebody that hasn't,
yeah, don't be like Yussef. Watch it now.
No.
Save your virginity.
Watch it. But then,
lose your virginity. Don't lose it. I don't know.
But in terms of favorite scenes, though, I would say my personal favorite scene was the I guess I would call it the fight sequence with Matthew Lillard's character and the hammer. Mostly because of everything leading up to that, and I like how smart they were of like, hey, let's just grab this piece of glass that has a spell on it so the ghost can't do anything while we walk around. Like, I thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
And then, of course, because Matthew Lillard's character, throughout the majority of the movie, he's like, I just want to get out of here. I don't give a fuck about any of y'all. I just need to get out.
Yeah.
But, like, that's just a big redeeming scene where he's like, he literally sacrifices himself to save the other guy. And I'm like, look at you with a character arc, Matthew Lillard. Look at you being all nice at the end, but then getting brutally, viciously murdered.
Yeah, we love that. We stan.
We stan.
Yes.
But outside of that, I did like the twist, like the scene with the twist. I wasn't expecting it to be like a double twist, where one of the people in the group ends up being, like against them, like working for the other guy, for like the uncle.
Yeah.
And not only that the uncle's alive. Like you think he dies in like the first 10 minutes of the movie, but turns out nope, he's alive.
It's kind of like faking your death to get what you want. Yay. And of course, the nephew being the 13th ghost, but
That's right.
Yeah. So there's just a lot of like plot twists, and especially this movie not being that long, it does be able to tell the story very efficiently and very well. Especially like through the way that they, conveyed everything, especially with the connection with the spirits and the uncle and the nephew and Matthew Lillard's character. Actually, let us actually explain that a little bit more. So if you guys haven't seen 13 Ghosts, or if you have, you know that Matthew Lillard's character is kind of like a psychic.
Matthew Lizard.
Lizard.
Oh my god.
I can't speak.
He's a reptilian. Hi. He's a reptilian.
The reptilian.
My name is Matthew Lizard.
Fuck you, dude. Dude, it's been a week. Leave me alone.
I just think it's hilarious. I'm just like, Matthew
Lizard. Anyway, his character's name is Dennis. I'm gonna call him Dennis now. Fuck you. Anyway, I'm tired.
Dennis Lizard.
What have you done to me? Anyway, so the Dennis character is a psychic. Every time that he gets touched or he touches something, he is able to actually go back in their past, see what has happened to them, or whatever happened to the place or person. But he sometimes tends to not have that gift because he's like, fuck, like I have to, like he almost is like an empath, almost in a way.
Very similar.
Like he's psychic. He knows everybody. He knows everybody's business just by touching something or touching them. But he's like an empath because he feels everything that person has gone through. And then he's like, God, please don't touch me. I feel emotionally drained. And I'm like, yo, dude, that's relatable.
Yeah.
But, he's obviously knows about everything that has happened to the nephew. And, especially like with, the loss of the house, the loss of the wife. and then things that has happened like on the junkyard. There's a lot of stuff that he gets to discover, and he's like, I really hate everything, but I'm just trying to prevent from this place going to shit, and for your uncle doing like the most craziest thing. But what do I know? I'm just an insane guy. Comedic relief.
Yeah. I did like some of the background stuff that they done on his character. Or like, for example, when he first shows up, the first thing he wants to do is take pills.
Yeah.
And it's like, you realize that it's, the whole empath thing is something that he deals with on a constant basis. And like, sometimes that's the only way to turn it off. Because like, could you imagine every time you just brush past someone, even on an accident, and you just immediately get all their memories and fears and all that kind of stuff? Like, that would just take a toll on you immediately.
It's exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
So, basically, yeah, he's crazy, and he deals with a lot of stuff. My favorite scene that has always stuck out to me, the only reason why I like this scene so much is because I enjoy horror films that do this. I feel like it's not the first horror film that has done it, but it's when the Kathy girl, which is the sister is the daughter of the nephew and all that stuff. So yeah, great stuff. Actually, yeah, let's use names. Arthur. Yeah, Arthur is our main protagonist. He is the one that goes through a lot of shit. He is practically the one that, gets to deal with all this lovely stuff, and everything revolves around him and all this tragic and haywire and comedic stuff. Anyway, so his daughter Kathy goes into the bathroom. She is fascinated with this bathroom. I'm like, stupidly fascinated. Stupidly.
Like she's never seen a bathroom before.
Yeah, it's like she's never seen a very luxurious bathroom before. I get it. I would be the same way, but I feel like she was in there throughout that entire scene for like a good 10 to 15 minutes.
It's like chilling in there. So my favorite scene is like when we see the camera go into the glasses, and you actually see that obviously in the supernatural realm, or what they believe, obviously something that they can't see unless they're wearing the glasses. The bathroom is covered in blood. Mm-hmm.
They have the angry princess is actually inside of the tub. Obviously, she's hearing her own past thoughts when she was alive, things that has tortured her, because the angry princess symbolizes insecurity. She is basically having to deal with all these plastic surgeries because her husband was cheating on her, and she wanted to feel like attractive and all this other stuff. That's like some of the background that I know of, like the ghosts and all that stuff. So she symbolizes insecurity. So it's almost like, she committed suicide because she felt like she couldn't get enough surgeries to be able to appeal to her physical appearance. So she's in the bathroom, just seeing this girl take from her shower, clean her face, and she's like almost looking at her, and then like eventually she starts to come at her with a knife, but then that's when Arthur comes in, her dad, and stops and kind of distracts her to move away, and obviously there is no harm to her. But I do like that scene because it's like dealing with things that we can't see, but something is actually being done to them, almost like a supernatural happening, like that you're not aware of on the other side of the spiritual realm and all that stuff. So
yeah,
it's my favorite scene. It's cool.
Favorite character wise, honestly, there are no bad characters in this except for the daughter, which was kind of unlikable at first. Definitely Matthew Lillard. I think he was my favorite character. Close to that would be I know he was barely in the movie, cool. But Cyrus, the uncle.
Yeah, Cyrus.
I thought he was cool because he was just like your typical like horror movie villain, or like just movie villain where he's like, I'm gonna take over the world. Mwahaha.
I'm like, this is cheesy as fuck, my guy. Get a life. But he was very cheesy. But it's kind of hard to like not like him because without an antagonist, there would be no movie. There would be no story.
Yeah.
Kalina was cool. Kalina.
Oh yeah. She was awesome.
Chick. Yeah, she was a fucking badass. Yeah. And also, yeah, there's no bad characters in here.
Mm.
Other
And there's
than the
also not
daughter.
a
The daughter, like I said, is like you said, she is annoying. Maggie's a little much, but you kind of tend to like her because she's like when things are tensing up, she's like doing this one of the stereotypes comedic things to alleviate the situation. And yeah. Honestly, all the ghosts are kind of likable because I like that they all, have their own little
quirks and
pizzazz. Yeah,
personalities.
quirks like the way that they act, especially like the jackal. The jackal's so manic. Like he's also like the last ghost that you see towards the end when they disappear.
The Jackal is
So
straight
and
up
you see,
feral.
yeah, he is like practically manic, and the fact that he's in a straight jacket and he like the whoever did the actor for Jackal, like he did a phenomenal job, especially with like the manic running like towards like the attacks, and then especially towards the end, he's like you see how big and dramatic those movements are from an acting perspective. So that's something that I really appreciate.
Yeah, the one that oh, I forgot what I was gonna say. Jeez. Never mind. It'll come back to me eventually.
Ghosts.
Ghosts.
Ghosts. You were thinking about a ghost?
Ghosts.
Or are you thinking about a ghost?
I don't know. Oh yes,
Yeah.
I do now. So yeah, like I like that scene too, where Matthew Lillard, I think he puts on the glasses for the first time, and one of the ghosts like scares him. He's like, I hate when they do that. I hate when they get up next to the glass.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
that was us during HHN at home or HHN Light. Damn it, I hate when they hit the glass.
Yeah. That honestly, the plexiglass worked to their advantage because they can bang on it all they want and all this other stuff, and it would still scare us. It didn't take it away from me, but that's just me.
Yeah. But outside of other characters, I think that's really all we have for now. So I think it's time for us to take our little break, right?
Yeah.
Head over to our grave robbing facts, so that way after we get back, we can talk about our favorite kills, and then our closing thoughts.
Yep.
All right.
Sounds good. You're there.
All right.
Hey everybody, we're back with our little segment of grave robbing facts, and basically we start talking about the things that go behind the scenes of the movie, television series, haunt, or event that happens. All the magic and all little fun facts that happen during the filming of whatever we are covering for the episode. Yeah, so now that that's settled, we are going to be doing all like 10 facts on 13 ghosts, and maybe a little bit of a synopsis of each ghost, like just so we're not talking your ear off too much. But yeah, definitely things that are more concentrated on the backstage side of what goes on behind the filming of this.
Yep.
So, you want to start us off?
Sure, I'll go ahead and start us off with number 1. So in the movie, the characters need special glasses to see the ghosts. In the original 13 Ghosts, viewers needed special glasses to see the ghosts themselves. This is one of the few details from the original that was kept. So like because the original movie was like a 3D movie, and the only way you could see the ghosts is if they gave you the special glasses for it. Otherwise, you couldn't see the ghosts.
Oh, interesting.
So now they were like
the actual movie, like they needed to have the glasses.
Yeah.
Or did the viewer have to have glasses?
Like the actual, like in the actual audience, like people in the audience had to have like special glasses to see the ghosts.
That's fucking cool.
Yeah. So like
I didn't know that.
So they translated over into the characters in this new film where they can't see the ghosts unless they have the glasses on.
Yeah.
Which I gotta say are like the most like cringeworthy looking glasses because they're just like clear Oakleys with like little lights on them.
Yeah. Wasn't there like glasses that got released that they have a camera on them? They kind of look like them. Yeah, like I don't think we're that far off from the truth or from like what could be eventually reality. But I don't think anybody has purchased those because I guess glasses are kind of hard to keep on your face, to be fair. But that's my opinion, though. Even though he wears glasses. my co-host.
I just don't have any writing them right now.
Yeah. But eventually, I feel like with my astigmatism, eventually I'm gonna need them, and and the joke's gonna be on me. Anyway, our second grave robbing fact is that the special effects and sound mixing were so elaborate in this film that many people claim that the movie was physically painful to sit through. I can't agree. I mean, I know that it was very loud, and there was a lot of mixing, and it was a lot of loudness, but I don't think it was like terrible.
Exactly, because it wasn't really. I mean, first of all, it wasn't even in like a regular like. I don't know, like the sound itself, it wasn't that bad. Like sure, they like help make it creepy and everything, but they weren't like in your face for too long or like too loud or anything like that. So I'm not really sure where people were like getting that from. Granted, we did see this on Netflix. It might be different if you saw it in a theater.
No, I saw it in the theater in Puerto Rico, and it was not like that at all. But I don't know, could be wrong. I mean, it is 13 Ghosts. There is just a lot of movement going on, especially when you hear the chains of when the house is kind of shape shifting, the banging of the ghosts, a lot of voices that you hear from the ghosts and whatnot. I understand, but at the same time, it's like I don't think it's any more than any other horror film that has a lot of action in it, a lot of movement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, to each their own, I guess, but
All right, then time for number 3. Oh, this was a long one. Jesus. So Matthew Lillard later starred in Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2 as Norville Shaggy Rogers. An earlier incarnation of Scooby-Doo was the 13 Ghosts of Scooby-Doo back in 1985, which featured the voice of Vincent Price as Vincent Van Ghoul. Curiously, the first movie produced by Dark Castle Entertainment, who made this version of the film, was House on Haunted Hill, which is a remake of the original House on Haunted Hill, starring Vincent Price. So Vincent Price is like, he's got his hands all over this kind of stuff, man. It's like, I've got my Vincent Price hands everywhere.
Yeah. That's cool. The fact that, I feel like Matthew Lillard needs to have so much, other than, Shaggy and, of course, his iconic role in Scream. Like, I know that not a lot of people know that he's in this movie, but he does such a as good of a job in this movie than any other. So he's a really good actor. He's very underrated.
He sells the shit out of it in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So our fourth grave robbing fact is 5 of the ghosts and several of the minor characters were played by Canadians. The film was start over. 3, 2, 1. So our fourth grave robbing fact is that the 5 of the ghosts and several of the minor characters were played by Canadians. The movie was filmed in British Columbia, and it's cheaper for production to hire local actors from the area instead of flying American actors to the set for every single role.
Yeah.
Well, damn. Thank you for giving us that tip. Now I know. But they all did such a really good job, to be fair. You can tell that there were some people that didn't have no acting experience, but they fucking sold it. I'm looking at specifically the Great Child and the Dire Mother.
Mm-hmm.
I know sure as shit. They were not experienced, but they sold the shit out of it. Like, you can just tell, but it's cool.
Yeah. But yeah, that's interesting. I didn't know that. I mean, it's a lot of the same times that people over here now film in Georgia because it's like really good tax-wise.
Yeah.
But
Georgia's the new booming Hollywood.
But anyway, our next grave robbing fact here, number 5. The effect for the torso was achieved using a double amputee wearing a special black hood that could be used to digitally remove his head. Jeez. So they used a person with no, it's double amputee. And then they just had him wear like a hood over his head, so that way on the computer they could just erase that, so it just looks like a headless torso. So that was pretty cool.
That is cool. The fact that they were okay with that on its own was actually impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was like, "Yeah, I'll do this shit." They got all the arm strength. You know, people who do that, I'm like, damn, that's the arm strength I wish I had to push my own body. But anyway, for our sixth grave robbing fact, of all the creature makeup was Vania, words, liquid death. What did you do? Anyway, 3, 2, 1. Our sixth grave robbing fact is of all the creature makeup created for the film, the Angry Princess, which was played by Shauna Lawyer, required the longest time to apply at 5 hours.
Yee, so much time.
Yeah. I feel like it's almost like almost the prosthetics for the Mummy, like obviously the newer one.
Mm-hmm.
I know that one took like about 8 to like 14 hours, but I can't imagine because like you said, she looks so proportionally perfect that she needed the most extra time. So, and she just happens to be my favorite ghost. But yeah, other than the jackal, but that's why I can't stop talking about them. So.
All right, so our next grave robbing fact here, the writing etched on one of the walls in the glass house translates to read the Lord's Prayer.
Oh, wow.
So, like, I don't even know what the Lord's Prayer is, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've heard it at some point in my life. But, I don't
know, it's interesting that they add those little details here and there.
Yeah.
But anyway, Vania, what is our next grave robbing fact?
Our eighth grave robbing fact is that in the original 13 Ghosts, was released in 1960, the nephew who inherited the mansion was Cyrus Zorba. In this movie, the uncle who left his mansion to the nephew is Cyrus Kritikos.
Yeah, I'm wondering why they went for like a Greek name like that. Zorba, I think, is already kind of Jewish, or not Jewish, Greek, but this one we're like, let's just go. My bet fact week waiting on it. Your name is Kritikos.
Yeah, but that's cool. The fact that they still kept the original, but added a little spin to it. Just to make it more stick out. Cool stuff.
Then our next grave robbing fact here: Warner Brothers and Dark Castle Entertainment originally planned to release the film and carry over the gimmick from the original 13 Ghosts, which was the glasses and the water and stuff. Where'd it go? Carry over the gimmick from the original 13 Ghosts, where viewers needed glasses to see the ghost in the film. Such plans were scrapped.
Basically,
that would have been cool.
Yeah, basically from the original, like we were talking, like they were trying to basically try if you needed like special glasses to see the ghost. But I wonder what special glasses they needed to be able to make that happen. Like, I'm not
sure.
Like, I want to know what technology y'all had and why aren't we incorporating this more? Like, we already have IMAX. We're already peaked. We just need this technology back from the 1960s, apparently, which was made possible. Well, I mean, I guess, budget-wise. Like, I'm pretty sure the makeup took up a lot of it, and the design of the house.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
But now it's time for our next grave robbing fact.
Is our 10th, which is the torn prince name is Royce Clayton, and he was an aspiring baseball player. In reality, there was a major baseball player that he was in the major league named Royce Clayton, and he played for several teams between 1991 and 2007.
Oh my god.
That's cool. Being a athlete to an actor, less than nothing. Great stuff. But I'm gonna run through these really quick. So, on top of our grave robbing facts, we do have some backstory on each and every ghost. I'm gonna try and go as fast as I can, and all this other stuff. So, the first one is the firstborn son. In life, the firstborn son was a boy named Billy Michaels, who had an unhealthy obsession with pop culture involving cowboys and Indians. Any attempt to rip him away from his fantasy world earn rage, but that rage and a toy gun didn't protect Billy from a real arrow to fire into his head, which is why in the movie he has an arrow through his head. So Billy doesn't attack anybody directly in 13 Ghosts, but he does scare them in a way that, like violent spirits. So if you have played Phasmophobia, you know kind of how that works.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like identifying ghosts, but it's kind of like a residual, but not really.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of thing. So the second one is,
well, I will say I did like something. I just want to make a really dumb joke about that firstborn. Because I was gonna say I used to be an adventurer like you till I took an arrow to the head. Now I am not very, very much alive. So now he took an arrow to the leg. I mean, to the
Yussef,
head.
everybody.
Ta-da!
He's known as the dad friend for a reason.
Oh yeah.
Anyway. So the second one is the torso, which was played by the double amputee, as you guys heard in our grave robbing facts. The torso is exactly what it sounds like, a disembodied torso wrapped in a cellophane. In life, the torso was a part of a convulsive gambler named Jimmy Gambino. Gambino was also a bookies, but his own gambling prevented him from being able to play the winnings of a made man in the mob, and the criminal didn't take it too kindly. So the mob just killed Jimmy and cut him up, dumping his body into the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's great.
That one's
so the torso also had a great life. Yeah.
Like that one's pretty creepy so far.
Yeah. But mind you, also in 13 Ghosts, like a lot of these things are also like almost like sacrificial. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like collected over time, which is why their stories are so creepy. Number 3 is like the bound woman in life. The bound woman was named Susan Legro.
We'll use one of those.
And yeah. And had privileged upbringing. She was rich, popular cheerleader who dated the captain of the football team. I mean, that's a stereotype. But that was until the captain found her with another boy on prom night, and rather a horrific reaction, to say the least. He bludgeoned his romantic rival to death and strangled Susan with his own tie. Like the first-born son and the torso, she's more scary than the actual threat.
It's kind of crazy, though.
So, she crazy. You love that. Our 4th ghost is the Withered Lover. The Withered Lover is one ghost that's definitely not kind of threat to the Cryptic Ghost family once they get trapped inside their presumed dead relative, Cyrus, the House of Horrors. Of course, that's due to her particular backstory, as she is Jean Criticos, the wife of the protagonist, and mother to his children, Kathy and Bobby. Jean died in the house fire with the rest of her family, didn't make it out alive. So that happens in the beginning of the movie, and it is very, very sad.
It is sad, yeah.
So she's the Withered Lover, which is cute. But, she was a good mom, and, she protects her son from being attacked by ghosts because her son likes scary stuff, but he does know how to provoke some ghosts, even though he knows he shouldn't be going anywhere. But anyway, the 5th ghost is the Torn Prince. The Torn Prince was a high school baseball star in the 1950s, explaining the ever-present baseball bat weapon that he happily used to attack any of the 13 Ghost living characters, named Royce Clayton. In life, the Torn Prince died during a drag race after losing control of his car in a horrific accident. He shouldn't blame himself, though, as his opponent had secretly tampered with his brakes.
Jesus, that's terrible.
Yeah,
there's so much tragedy with them, like, because they're not, particularly evil. They're just
they've just gone through some shit.
They've just gone through some shit.
Yes, so it's really sad.
It is.
So, my favorite, the Angry Princess, born Dana Newman. The Angry Princess was an incredibly beautiful woman by all standards of her own. Sadly, she wasn't able to be happy with her looks, seeing imperfections others didn't, constantly trying to improve her appearance via surgery. A string of abusive relationships did nothing to help her self-image. After a Botching an attempt to perform face surgery on herself, Dana died by suicide by cutting her wrist in a bathtub, which we kind of see almost like a reenaction of that in the movie. Slimy lawyer character Ben Moss makes a rude comment about her nude, ghostly appearance, and the boy does pay for it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's that. She said, "Oh, you think I look disgusting? Yeah, ye." Anyway, the Pilgrimess, named Isabella Smith. The Pilgrimess was a victim of a witch trial hysteria that gripped New England by the late 1600s. A local outcast, Isabella was accused of witchcraft, and when an attempt burning didn't work, the perception that she was evil only increased. In the end, the Pilgrimess was left to die of starvation in the stocks. Her ghost remains locked during the 13 ghosts.
Jeez. These poor ghosts. They were just trying to live, man.
Yeah, well, I was like, what if I like witchcraft? Like, nothing wrong. I'm not doing anything wrong unless, witchcraft is just, karma. Like, obviously, they're not bad. There is just like, you just get what you deserve in the end. It's letting life run its course, and if we need to do a little thing, do something then to get it 3 times back, you gotta debate whether you deserve it or not. Either way. So our 8th and 9th ghost is the Great Child and the Dire Mother. The Great Child and the Dire Mother are another case of ghosts being exactly what they sound like. Margaret Shelburne was a little person who worked in a carnival freak show, and her enormous son, Harold, was a result of a sexual assault by Carnival's tallest member of the freak troupe. Some of the other freaks later murdered Margaret, leading Harold to go crazy with an axe and kill most of them before he himself was killed by an angry mob.
Jeez. So much death, so much killing, so much destruction.
So much, but that's a mommy's boy. That he literally went for his mom till the end. I admire that.
I just wish. I just didn't get the whole like throw up stuff on his shirt. I'm like, I don't like throw up.
Yeah, it's kind of like that big boy gross.
I got
like
you.
grotesque.
Yeah.
Almost like the 7 Deadly Sins. Like.
Yeah, it's very similar to that.
Very similar. So. Which I can see the 13 ghosts almost be like attached to that. Unfortunately, like there's only like obviously 12 in reality, but it's hard to kind of fit them in all categories of the 7 Deadly Sins. But which would have been an interesting concept to actually see that being incorporated. Let me actually do that. No, let's not. Anyway, but our 10th ghost is the one that had the most screen time. Is the Hammer.
Yep.
These final 3 ghosts are definitely one of the most dangerous to the Cryptic Ghost family and the 13 ghosts, other human characters in the movie. A born George Markley, the Hammer wasn't a bad person at all, working as a blacksmith in a small town. That was until he was falsely accused of theft by a white man and his family, and was brutally murdered. In a grief-fueled rage, George took his trusty sledgehammer and bludgeoned their killers. Of course, the townspeople blamed him and killed him by driving railroad spikes into his body.
It kind of sounds like, oh god, what was I thinking of? I just saw it. I don't remember.
Not Hellraiser or something else?
Something similar to Hellraiser, yeah, but like just like the kind of like Candyman. That's what I was thinking of.
Candyman, yeah.
Where he was gonna die because he was black, and then at the last second transforms into something else.
Yeah. Well, he a big boy and he's scary, so he's a force to be reckoned with, especially since quite literally. So our 11th ghost is the Jackal, easily the most versatile and unpredictable of the ghosts in 13 Ghosts. The jackal was born Ryan Kuhn in 1887 and grew up to be a sick, twisted man, a vicious and compulsive sexual predator and killer. Ryan did actually seek help for his affliction, checking into an asylum. Not only did it did him any real good, as before long he had completely lost what was left of his mind, and he eventually died when the asylum burned down.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting.
So,
Yeah, he kind of looked like
but
us. He kind of looked like
I do
Rasputin.
like the concept of the cage.
You like the what in the cage?
The concept of the cage, because you really saw like how manic he was. Like it's just like it reflects a lot of what his back character, like how twisted he was. So. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What were you going to say? I got excited.
You're good. Yeah, I said what I was going to say.
Say it again. I think I went over you.
I forgot what it was.
Jackal related.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure it was Jackal.
No, I don't know. I don't remember. Listen, I'm very tired. I don't remember it. Okay. Let's just move on.
Guys, hopefully we can change our schedule soon because this ain't it.
This is not it. It's like 1:30 in the morning right now, and I'm very, very sleepy.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you guys are understanding, and we are still here to deliver you with the best content possible. But now our last one, and so we can actually go into our favorite kills and whatnot. It is the Juggernaut, Horace Breaker Mahoney. Anyway,
Mahoney.
Anyway.
Is he your homie?
He's my homie.
He's my homie.
We're slowly losing it. The Juggernaut is definitely the most dangerous ghost to be found within 13 Ghosts, which can be considered almost a final boss of the group. A mountain of a man, Horace was a serial killer who would pick up hitchhikers or offer rides to the stranded, only to take them back to the junkyard and tear them apart with his bare hands.
Jesus.
Then he feed their bodies to his dogs. Along with the hammer, the Juggernaut sadly decimates friendly psychic character Dennis Rafkin.
Like, Jesus, though, they freaking... This is a story here. The fact that we just rip people apart?
Yeah, so it's like almost like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but with your hand.
But with his bare hands. Like, damn.
He was the jug. He got the moves like Jugger. He got the moves like Jugger. He got the moves like Jugger. Anyway.
Oh my god.
But now we already did our grave robbing facts. We went into each and every one of the ghosts. Now we're gonna go back to your regular scheduled programming. So yeah.
All right. See you guys in a little bit. And welcome back from our grave robbing facts. So, continuing our discussion here on 13 Ghosts, we're definitely going to be talking about now our favorite kills in this film. There's not a huge amount of kills, but they're pretty creative. The ones that we do have are pretty interesting. They're pretty fun.
Yes.
So, what would you say, Vania, was your favorite kill of the film?
For me, it was definitely the being sliced in half, because the fact that the lawyer person kept getting sliced in half, and the fact that the joke kept being brought up throughout the movie was by Maggie and all that stuff. And yeah, it's a great, basically he was confronted by one of the ghosts, and then eventually he backed into the glass, and the glass got him right in the middle, sliced him in half, and he went bye-bye. So then that was an ongoing joke for the most of the time throughout the movie. So it's definitely
that's actually my favorite kill too. What I thought was cool is, usually when you think, oh, somebody's getting ripped in half, you think they're gonna split him Horace vertically, or that's what I'm looking for.
It's kind of hard.
It's kind of hard to explain. But this one was weird because this one was from the side, so it's literally
horizontally.
The front of his body was sliced. Yeah. It's one slice, and then the back of his body is the other slice. As opposed to
it's trying to cut a chicken breast.
Yeah, as opposed to left and right halves. This is front and back. which was like fucking amazing. Especially like when he just kept sliding down, so you like see his brains and like his intestines and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But after that, I did like obviously the Matthew Lillard death was good, the way he died.
Yeah.
Um,
You went out with the bang.
the first one's like the ones at the beginning of the film. It was kind of hard to tell what was going on because of the weird, like editing that they did on the movie.
Yeah.
But I mean, the ones that I have heard a little bit more recently, they're really really good. At least on that last album for the artist.
Yeah. But yeah, there's just a lot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of kills. It's just very, and the ones that did happen, they weren't really good. But yeah, that's probably the one that stood out to us the most.
But
so.
I gotta say, I did like the end of this movie though, when it just ends with like a hard rock thing. I'm like, that is how 2000s you get, and I love it.
I feel like Stay Alive kind of gets into that category though. Like towards the end, they're the same way. I was just like, oh my god, like, and everything on a happy note. Everything's fine. We killed the evil.
It's like here's
cue some hardcore music.
It's like here's Mudhoney. Here's Power Man 5000.
Yeah.
But it's time for our closing thoughts.
Yeah. I'm sorry that this episode ran a little long, guys.
Oh,
it's been quite a week.
It has been a time.
Our closing thoughts are: this movie is, for me, it's like this movie is amazing. One of a cult classic. Of course, if you're gonna go into this expecting like a newer masterpiece, things to actually make sense. I mean, it does. It's just structured in a way that's cheesy, but you can't help but love and be entertained overall with this movie. If you want to become an entire 13 Ghost nut like me, please go ahead. But not a lot of people will agree. But it's funny because it's crazy how much this movie has stuck around like generations after, and people still talk about it to this day. So it's definitely something worth a watch if you haven't watched it yet. But if you have watched it and you're just here to geek out with us, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. I definitely really, really enjoyed this movie. I liked the story was fun. The overall like vibe of it was fun. Because it was really different. It wasn't just like, oh, here's 13 ghosts in a house like attacking people. It's literally like, here's 13 ghosts in a house that were trapped by some dude who's trying to open some sort of portal to gain infinite power. Like, it's bonkers. It's fucking bonkers, and I loved it.
Yeah, I especially love, like, the ending scene when you kind of just see them all together, like, clashed in, like, that one ring, almost, like, in the middle of, like, the living room. And it, like, you just kind of see it twist, like, around a lot because it's, like, supposed to be symbolizing, like, the Black Zodiac and whatnot. So you can definitely see like, it's like a really nice bow on top towards the end when you actually see all the ghosts together and you actually see the sacrificial things with Arthur and whatnot. So yeah, I think it's a great concept.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So ranking wise or scoring wise, I think I would give this one an 8 out of 10. Because like I said, outside of the editing is kind of what took me out of it.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I love this movie. But yeah, the editing with like the quick white flashes and also like that weird, like choppy slow motion that they used to do.
Yeah.
Oh, I hated that kind of stuff.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we get another remake with better. Hopefully we still have the prosthetics, but
and have Matthew Lillard play one of the 13 ghosts now.
That'd be so cool. He's the 13th ghost now, not 13th Arthur.
Ghost.
Empath. Anyway, but yes, for me, it's a 9 out of 10 because I'm biased, and it's been a long time coming that I've been wanting to geek out about this movie, and and I think it deserves a higher rating than anybody has ever given it, especially for being the quality that it is and the cheesy 2000s humor or whatever. But I think it's still worth a watch. Watch the original, watch this. I will also watch the original and take my
I need
word
to
for
watch
it.
it, yeah.
But it's definitely a good movie that deserves a lot more recognition and should be passed on for many, many generations here on out. So
Yeah, but I think that's what we got so far for this episode.
yeah,
It ran a little long because we talked the spec map, we talked 13 ghosts, we talked the story of the ghosts. So it was we did a good amount of stuff. We discussed quite a bit.
Yeah, and if you have any other thoughts about it, feel free to reach out to us on
Yeah.
Twitter and tell us something that you genuinely like about 13 Ghosts or who your favorite 13th ghost is. I would like to know. I'm pretty sure people have other opinions on the other ghosts as well.
Yeah, but yeah, that's all we got. So it's time to do our basic house cleaning or housekeeping. So Vanya, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter and on YouTube under HHN Cultist. I basically cover anything from HHN to haunts and anything horror related. I also do park vlogs, discussing things Halloween Horror Nights, and also doing like a makeups inspired by horror and Halloween Horror Nights and whatnot. I still need to get back to the habit now that hunt season is currently picking up speed. So I definitely need to start making content soon. So hopefully we can all discuss and geek out about it together.
Yeah. And then
there's other interesting people on this podcast who is also very sleepy.
Yes, very, very sleepy.
So where can we find you?
Yes, Sleepy Boy. So you can find me on Twitter.
Sleepyboy.net.
Sleepyboy.net.
No, I'm kidding.
Sleepyboyforthewin.net.
Someone pick up their trash anyway.
Jesus. But for my socials, you can find me on Instagram at Yussef1220 and on Twitter at itbeyusef. That's mostly where I'm most active. I'm mostly active on Twitter. That's really all I use. And then for our podcast, you can find us on just about anywhere. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. And then for the podcast itself, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, and pretty much anywhere else you can get podcasts.
Yeah, you can't miss us. So, so please
we're not
give
hard
us love.
We're not hard to miss. Yeah, but that's really all we got. I mean, I want to thank you guys again for all the support. Thanks for sticking through this longer extended episode, if you listened all the way through. And we will catch you very, very soon on an upcoming episode.
All right. Everyone, stay spooky.
Stay spooky, everybody.